said, ooh, it's cold in here. What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another review of Bel-Air, episode 3, Yamacrawl. So let's get into it, man. So what happened in this episode? So, picking up from where we left off with the last episode with them people planting drugs in Will's backpack, Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil basically pull up to the school. They find out that they didn't really look at the cameras. In addition to that, Carlton provides an anonymous tip, which basically sets Will free from the accusation. Then we move forward with the storyline with the contention between Hillary and Aunt Viv, in that Aunt Viv asks Hillary to help her out with planning an event for her sorors. Hopefully I said that right. Anyway, Hillary opts to help out Aunt Viv, and then they're confronted with the lady with whom provided Hillary with the opportunity with the company that she later exposed for, as she puts it, being racist against people of color and sexist as well. Aunt Viv is upset by this because she feels like Hillary is just spitting in her face, and it also makes her look bad. So there's just this ongoing tension between the two of them throughout most of the episode. Then we move forward to Uncle Phil, who's also going through a thing with his frat brothers, the Alphas, as he's looking to get an endorsement from one of his brothers. And he's basically shut down because they feel like Uncle Phil is a sellout. But Will manages to get him to perform a step performance that really shows his brothers that he's back on track, that he's really for the people. And then finally, we move forward to the last portion of the show where Carlton and Will are having their games respectively. Carlton isn't having the best of games. He's feeling upset that his family isn't there, and it eventually leads him to getting kicked off the field and, like he's used to doing, getting back on that narcotic. Meanwhile, Will, he's doing it up in his game. He's really showing what he does as far as basketball is concerned. So much so that his family, Aunt Viv, Uncle Phil, and Hillary gets so captivated by what is going on in his game that they don't even make it to Carlton's game, even though that was his plan. And the final scene, at least in this portion of the episode, is Carlton seeing not only his family there, but also his ex, Lisa, is there as well, supporting Will, and he doesn't like that. What are my impressions of this episode? I think that the story is very succinct. It doesn't really focus so much on Will's evolution moving forward into Bel-Air culture. It mainly focuses, in my opinion, on Aunt Viv and Hillary and their relationship, in that Aunt Viv basically at the game kicks her out and tells her, since Hillary wants to do what she wants to do, that she can do it on her own and make her own way. And Hillary accepts the challenge, and this back and forth between them is the center focal point of this episode. And this element of emphasis on third-party characters as opposed to the protagonist, in this case, as opposed to focusing on Will, is very important to a functioning story and plot, in that these later events somehow always come back to affect the protagonist in some way. When writing a story, the question that writers ask in this regard is how will the actions, thought processes, etc. of this third-party character inevitably impact protagonists when they find out or receive the consequences or effects of what the third-party character does. So I think with episode 3, it does what it's supposed to do. So I'll give it a solid 7. Also because there are just some great callbacks to the original series. I'm not sure if many of you remember, but in Bel-Air, Will also had a rivalry with some black dude from Malibu, and they were basically the best two kids on their team because they were black. And in that particular episode in Bel-Air, they're going back and forth. Malibu dude actually wins in the original series, and Carlton, being upset or jealous of Will, plays out differently in the original series as well, and that Carlton in the Fresh Prince series is on the basketball team itself. He wasn't a lacrosse player, but I do like how they differentiated that and gave Carlton his own lane because in Fresh Prince he was just trash at basketball, so nobody even considered him a sports type of dude. But all in all, I think the episode was pretty solid. Now, what are my thoughts on old man Yamakra and the display he put on for his frat brothers? Just a moment ago, Uncle Phil's frat brother didn't even want to talk to him. But after he put on the stepping display, that's when his entire opinion switches up. He's really for the people now. I see that you still remember those stepping moves. Which, to me, in maybe a prior iteration of my ideas, would have been categorized as ridiculous. But as I'm learning more and growing, sometimes power requires you to do things that you don't necessarily want to in order to appease the hearts of the people who you are seeking to serve. So sometimes it requires you to put on airs. Sometimes it requires you to do things that normally you wouldn't necessarily. This is not to say that you compromise yourself or become a butt kisser of sorts. No, but it does allow you to recognize that power comes in two formats. There's the blunt force format that we're all used to, where we just force our way into getting what we want. And there's also the smoother, more low-key aspect of power. And this requires a more strategic approach, not through manipulation or underhanded tactics, but through the recognition that other people have things going on within them that are important to them. They don't necessarily have to be important to you, but appealing to what matters in other people's hearts can sometimes assuage them or garner them onto your side because you're showing them that you care about what's important to them. Everybody is the main character in their own story. And when you appeal to their story, they're more likely to come along the path that you're traversing down. It doesn't always work this smoothly. However, there's all kinds of ways to utilize power, and it doesn't necessarily have to only be rooted in blunt force. But anyway, be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Hit the like, subscribe, check out my other videos. So let me know what you guys think. All right, y'all. 1.